I wanted to say in this video a huge shout out to Mayhem Matthew for your very generous support on Patreon. I really appreciate you. It really helps me out. It helps the channel out. It helps my family out. And I just wanted to say very quickly, thank you so much to Mayhem Matthew for your very, very, very generous support on Patreon. When I was in the IBCCES chat today, and those are the images that I particularly want to show in this video of the update, I think they ended up realizing that I was kind of poking them, through chat to want them to discuss the discrimination of their company and what's going on with Universal. And eventually they hung up, and they ended up saying something very discriminatory, which was that essentially if you don't have proof of service animal and you go to Universal after July 24, you would be asked to be not there with your service animal, which would be obviously discriminatory. And luckily I was able to get a photo of it on my phone before they closed the chat. And normally I take screen grabs and then I take photos as well, but something in my head told me to take out the phone and get a photo of it real quick. And literally I took a photo, then like 5 to 10 seconds later they closed the chat, and I wasn't even sure if my phone was able to capture it, and luckily it did. As many of you know who follow me on YouTube, I recently put out a video that I reported Universal Orlando to the DOJ, which is the governing body that oversees the ADA when it comes to discrimination cases. This is an important subject to me because I am not someone just, sticking up for people who have disabilities. I am actually someone who also has a hidden disability. So as someone who has faced discrimination, has personally faced discrimination when it comes to disabilities and, looks or judgments and assumptions that you may look a certain way, so therefore we don't feel that you have a hidden disability or a disability that you're talking about, obviously this hits home. So as many of you know, I'm not going to re-edit everything that I put into the last. But as you know, Universal Orlando, whereas formerly they had what was known as the Attraction Assistance Pass or the AAP, which you got from guest services, now requires guests to be screened and vetted through a company called IBCCES. It is a private company, and unfortunately Universal Orlando lists on their website that they won't have anything to do with this. You have to completely go through this company. You have to go through it ahead of time, days and days and days ahead of time. Otherwise, you will not have any accommodations at Universal Orlando. Obviously, that in itself sounds like a discriminatory comment from them because that would mean that someone who didn't know about it or showed up at the park or didn't have access to health care, all those possibilities, they would just blatantly be denied accessibility. The Universal site says that you have to meet full requirements of IBCCES. IBCCES on their site is mentioning things like there may be financial costs, you may not be guaranteed this. I've experienced horrible chat messages from IBCCES stating that financial costs could happen. It's up to the theme park. Service animals need registration and proof. Service animals could be charged with financial costs. It's been an awful experience. I look exhausted because I am. I have reported Universal Orlando to the DOJ. These things take time, and we hope that they will investigate it. I was on chat recently today with IBCCES, and a chat representative unfortunately confirmed all of these different statements. They said, yes, service animals need documentation. They need proof. You better be ready to show it at Universal Orlando. If you don't have it ready after July 24th, basically you could expect to be turned around and with the service animal, and it's a very exhausting and upsetting experience. I'm going to try to edit into this video here or there, some of the images about this. Obviously, I have the main video up on the channel that talks about all, the very well edited and detailed information out about this. But I truthfully do not believe that this is allowed. The ADA does not allow for documentation from public or private places requesting for accommodations. The only exception is education testing, and it doesn't feel right. IBCCES is a private company. You don't know where your information's going. You don't know where it's getting stored. They even mention IE plans of young people, which is very disturbing that information would go onto the internet. Who knows who has access to it? And like I said, I have reported them. It's a very exhausting process. it's emotionally taken its toll on me way more than I thought it would. I've had comments supporting me. I've also had comments saying things like, in the UK, one commenter said, we don't do this, and who cares if you have, what the person from the UK was saying in my comments was that, who cares if they request documentation? In the UK, we don't have those protections. I'm not familiar enough with UK and the law there to know what goes and what doesn't, but I'm not trying to be rude, but we're talking about the United States and our laws here. And to be fair to you, I mean, you should kind of see the light with this conversation. If you are a guest from the UK and you are at Universal Orlando, you are also protected at Universal Orlando, even though you're a guest from the UK. So this should bother you from that perspective as well. You'll have comments on the YouTube channel and people are saying like, it's because people have abused the AAP and these DAS systems, which is the Disney version, which Disney hasn't done this, by the way, yet, that we have gotten to this point. Even if people are misusing the system, and there are people out there who are unfortunately claiming whatever, that doesn't give Universal the right not to follow the ADA. And when you have comments in the chat and they're like, well, maybe this is a good thing, maybe it'll be a good thing in the long run, again, Universal has to follow the ADA. And that is why I've reported them to the DOJ. I'm very exhausted from this. I didn't think I would get as exhausted as I have been from it, but, it's taken its toll on me. I do hope the DOJ does investigate it. I've wrote out formal complaints to them. I could send them additional supplemental information. So this has been a very exhausting experience because I don't know. I hope that the DOJ will investigate. I think that you're going to have a lot of people with disabilities abused now at Universal Orlando, I think. So, I mean, unfortunately, harassment happens in the past, and I expect it to happen quite a bit now at Universal. And why do I think this is happening? I don't think this is happening as Universal may claim. I don't know what they're claiming. That, we've had abuse of the system, which they haven't claimed anything, actually. They haven't actually stated a formal reason for this. But that was the route they go. I don't believe that's the case. I think that I don't think the majority of people are doing that. Number one, I think that there's occasionally someone who misuses the system, but I don't think it's the majority because there's obviously very long lines on the regular line. If that was true, then you would only have a fast pass line, and you would have no one on the other line. And obviously, there's people on the other line, and I think they're doing this because their express passes are very expensive and they are looking to make money off of this. And they would like it to be that people with disabilities are as discouraged as possible so that they can make money on this. It's as simple as that. And, you hear about these stories happening with lower level companies, maybe like a restaurant you've never heard of, a small hotel you've never heard of, discrimination against people. But you hope that those types of stories are not happening from something as large as Universal Orlando, which is, under the umbrella of Comcast. When you get to that level of a company, it becomes very saddening as to what they are doing. So far, Disney World has not enacted this. I honestly don't think they will with the way things are, so I would be kind of surprised if they enacted this too, especially with all the feedback that's occurring with it. And I would much rather go back to Disney. I mean, I don't agree with everything Disney does, and I've had issues there too. But this, what Universal has done, I'm truly, like, you see how I am, like, I'm just blank. Because it's like trauma, what they've done. And, to the people who comment, who cares, we do things differently in the UK, or who cares, maybe it's for the best, or maybe Universal knows best, the better good. ADA, DOJ, law is law, rules are rules. It's not a matter of what you personally think would be best or what someone else does in another country. That's not how it works here. These things take time. Like I said, I do hope that the DOJ investigates this and that somehow some improvement can be made on this. That it's very disturbing that one of the things IBCCCES is requiring is IE plans of young people. And again, Universal has a thing on their site that says all requirements of IBCS have to be met to be granted the card. And again, IBCS is requesting some very disturbing things. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you all. I'm exhausted with this, but I'm glad I'm sticking up for not only myself, but others with disabilities. Yeah, I have reached out to guest services and said that I want to cancel my annual passes, told them I canceled my upcoming trip, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you all, and I will see you soon in my next video. And